Where in the state are these people who are being transferred from a nursing home? What's their sex? What's their age? What's their previous health status? What are the demographics? Let's get more specific information from the hospitals to see if we can come up with a strategy that is more tailored to the reduction of these 1,000 cases per day. The number of deaths, 289, lower than it has been, but still tragic and terrible. And all the good numbers, all the good news, for me, every day, this number just wipes that all away. We announced a statewide policy for our schools. We did it last March 18th. We said that we were going to close schools all across the state, K-12 and higher education schools. We waived what was called the 180-day requirement, which was a state regulation that schools had to have 180 days of teaching. Schools then transferred to distance learning programs, meal delivery services, child care options for essential workers. That has actually worked out well, not perfectly. We had to do it in a rush, but there are lessons that we can learn here that could change teaching going forward and teaching in these types of situations going forward. But it did work. It basically functioned well, and teachers did a phenomenal job stepping up to do this. It was a hardship on everyone, but we made the best of the situation. Colleges and universities were also moved to distance learning. Campuses were closed unless a student really needed housing on the campus. Schools, obviously, by definition, have higher density. They have transportation issues, kids who are getting on a bus. We didn't have the protective measures to put in place. You have 700 public school districts, 4,800 schools in this state. Then you have 1,800 private schools, 89 SUNY and CUNY campuses, 100 private colleges, and total is 4.2 million students. So the decisions on the education system are obviously critically important. We must protect our children. Every parent, every citizen feels that. We must protect our students. We have to protect our educators. And given the circumstances that we're in and the precautions that would have to be put in place to come up with a plan to reopen schools with all those new protocols, how do you operate a school that's socially distanced, with masks, without gatherings, with a public transportation system that has a lower number of students on it? How would you get that plan up and running? We don't think it's possible to do that in a way that would keep our children and students and educators safe. So we're going to have the schools remain closed for the rest of the year. We're going to continue the distance learning programs. Schools have asked about summer school and whether we'll have, so any decisions on summer schools will be made by the end of this month. But in the meantime, meal programs will continue. The child care services for essential workers will continue. And then we want schools to start now developing a plan to reopen. And the plan has to have protocols in place that incorporate everything that we are now doing in society and everything that we learned. We're going to be asking businesses to come up with plans that safeguard workers. When they reopen, we need schools to come up with plans also that bring those precautions into the schoolroom. And that's for schools, that's also for colleges, and the state will approve those plans. Related issue that we need to discuss and we need to pay attention to, this COVID crisis has caused significant disruption and many unintended consequences and ancillary issues that have developed. And one of them is when you have people who are put in this situation immediately with no notice, it has caused serious mental health issues. You have anxiety, depression, insomnia, loneliness, that feeling of isolation. We're seeing the use of drugs go up. We're seeing the use of alcohol consumption go up. This is a chronic problem. If you're feeling these issues, you're not alone. As a matter of fact, half of all Americans have said that their mental health has been negatively impacted. Don't underestimate the stress of this situation. And it happens on a lot of levels. 3 out of 4 say that their sleep has been affected. You don't know where your next paycheck is coming from. You don't know if your job is going to exist. You're at work one day, the next day they say everything's closed, stay in the house. You're in that house in a confined situation, or you're in an apartment in a confined situation. You can't get out. It's difficult. For emotional support, we have a hotline that is set up. People shouldn't be shy in any way or have any second thoughts about calling for help. It is a pervasive problem, and people should make the call and get the help if they need the help. We also see, in line with what we're talking about, a dramatic increase in the incidence of domestic violence. There was a 15% increase in March, a 30% increase in April. That's March is when this started, 15%, April, 30%. That is a frightening rate and level of increase. Again, New Yorkers in need, we have a domestic violence helpline, 844-997-2121. You can call, just discuss the issue. You don't have to give your identity. You don't have to say where you live. But people who need help should reach out. There is no shame in reaching out and saying, I need help. This is a national epidemic. It's a statewide epidemic. Ask for help, and we're here to help. We're especially concerned about these issues for frontline workers. I mean, just think about what the frontline workers are going through. Think about what the healthcare workers are going through. They're working extended hours. They're seeing a large number of people die. They're working in very frightening situations. They're worried about their own health. They're worried that if they get infected, they then have to go home, worry if they're infected, are they bringing that infection home? So this is a terribly stressful, difficult time, especially for the frontline workers. And we want them to know that we not only appreciate what they're doing, but we're there to support them, right? Saying thank you is nice. Acting in gratitude is even nicer. So we have a special emotional support hotline for our essential workers. And we're also going to direct all insurers to waive any cost-sharing, copay deductibles for mental health services for essential workers, which means the mental health services will be free for frontline workers. And they'll be at no cost. And too many people, too many families have said to me, well, you know, I would go for services, but I don't want to pay the cost. I can't afford it. I don't want to take that money from my family. That's gone. There is no cost to get mental health services. So just wipe that reason away and get the help that you need. It's even if it's even in the best interest of your family. Last point, personal opinion. Who said, when life knocks you on your ear, learn, grow up, and get back up? Was it A.J. Parkinson? It was not A.J. Parkinson. It was me. Nobody ever said that, just me. When life knocks you on your rear, ... learn, grow, and get back up. This has been a very difficult situation for everyone. But when life knocks you on your rear, learn and grow. And we will collectively learn and grow. We're going to learn many difficult lessons from this situation. We're going to learn about public health threats that we never saw before, we never heard of, we never really anticipated, we never actualized. Everyone talked about global pandemics and that possibility, but you know what? Until it happens, people don't really get it. Our hospital system and how that works and how it works in an emergency, how teleeducation works, how telemedicine works, how you keep society functioning during an emergency, how you communicate to people the dangers of a situation without panicking people, because you still need essential workers to come out and do their job. You don't want to panic people where they say, I'm not leaving the house. But you need to communicate the facts so people act responsibly. How do you do that in a short period of time? What do you do about public transportation? We learned a whole lesson with the downstate public transportation system. So there'll be a lot to learn from this, which we will learn, and we will be the better for. I believe that. And that's part of life. In the meantime, we have to go day to day, and we try to make the best of a bad situation. You try to find that silver lining through the dark clouds. All of us try to do it in our own way. Everybody is struggling with it in their own way. And that's all across the board. In many ways, this is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are. This impacts your life dramatically. But personally, if you work at it, maybe you can find a little silver lining. I'm sitting there last night with my daughter, Michaela. She's my baby. The baby is now 22. And she says to me, you know, Dad, think about it. I've spent more time with you now than I will probably spend with you in the rest of my adult life. I said, wow, what does that mean? She said, well, think about it. I've been with you for over a month. I won't be with you for another month for the rest of my adult life, which is kind of jarring because I still think of her as my baby. But you know what? That's probably right. You know, she's 22, she's going to go off, do whatever she does, and then you see her at holidays for a few hours here, maybe you steal a Saturday once in a while. Reminded me of the Harry Chapin song, Cats in the Cradle, which was a great old song from a great man, great New Yorker too. But these are, with all the bizarreness, I haven't been able to see my mother in 2 months, but I have my daughter probably for a longer period of time than I'll probably have for the rest of her adult life. That's probably true. So you try to find the silver lining. You try to stay positive. We stay socially distanced, but we stay spiritually connected. New Yorkers have been so supportive of each other. You can feel it. There's a spirit of community and mutuality. People are there to help one another. People understand that everybody's going through this. Everybody's in stress. You look at the way people have complied with these rules, as annoying as they are, masks, 6 feet, this. That's out of respect one for the other. I love the metaphor of the mask. The mask does not protect me. I wear the mask to protect you. What a beautiful sign of caring, of mutuality. I wear a mask to protect you. That's the spirit, even in this terrible time of difficulty. So yes, you can be socially distanced, but you can be spiritually connected and closer in ways you've never been before. And I believe that's where we are, because we are New York tough, which means tough, smart, united, disciplined, and loving. Questions?
When will states start to submit their reopening